Just I go and go through and survive.
Thank you very much for making it to the show today. Could you tell us a little, little facts about yourself?
In Kingston, Jamaica, in a place
Yes.
called Trod, up in the Auguston area, them place there, in my time as a youth, I grew up in a church tradition, So I grew up with a Rastafari background, never been to church, never really experienced them kind of stuff. I've been in church to support ones, but never been a church going, So my roots is really straight Rastafari, that's my tutelage, So yeah, also musically, well, I started to be like, enthused by music when I was like, I think 8 or 9 years old. And then, just the experience of the brethren from the 12th tribe of Israel, like, always have rehearsed, always have make music. Great people that you could look up to, people like FREDDIE, Madiaq, and Deep Brown, and has great musicians as well. Dalton Brownie, who just lost, is also one of them legendary musicians. So I grew up around that, so that really kind of pushed me into music. And then as a little youth now, going to school, I connected with friends. So I was a part of a group, a singing group back in the day, called Phenomenal, with some school friends, We used to sing at barbecues and stuff like that, and school functions and stuff like that. Jah Over Evil, Patsy Kids, legendary, her sons. So that's how the whole Jah Over Evil thing was. But that was later on, because in those days we were called Encore, it was a little group, with Little Joe and me and Ija and Jenna, So yeah, those were the tracks, before the established, professional music, person that the world knows now, So yeah, man, that's where it's coming from.
Dread at the Controls, released in 2013, was a great big smash that helped push yourself and roots reggae back to the front line. So today you have a brand new mad album called Still. So what inspired the title? What was the experience like working with Zion I Kings?
It was great, Zion I Kings is a very powerful musical outfit, Zion I Kings, for many people who would not know, but it's a collective of roots labels, from different, regions in the world. And these are all brethren, and then come together and create productions together and stuff. So that's the Zion I Kings. People like Jadi and Tippy and Moon, and So yeah, man, the Zion I Kings was a beautiful energy. The music that they create in terms of instrumentation has always been great to listen to for me. So now working with them, I guess, it's a good connection. And me as a roots artist, that's kind of a no-brainer really when you connect with such good instrumentation as a vocalist and a writer. So yeah, working with the Zion I Kings, it was great. This new project from Dread at the Control was really it was an attempt to give a certain set of youths at that time. I myself and Empress Sativa, TJ, that's Liquor Brigade, and also Infinite, Issa, that whole thing was to give a set of youths a platform, a way to be heard, So that song had 5 people, and a lot of the collabs I did back in the time with a lot of people, because we were in a crew, a unity, So it was all about trying to make everybody's voice be heard, It was really about that. So it was really a personal goal of mine, So the song broke and did pretty well in Europe, sold well on vinyl as well, So it was like, I think it was a catalyst for us breaking into the scene, especially in the European circles. So the name Still is the title track on the album called Still. So buy the album, listen to the album, you listen to the title track, you will get more of an understanding of what the album is about, But Still actually means that in this time of desolation and for me imminent destruction in terms of a moral structure, and I is still there, Rastafari is still there, So just like how you have the picture on the wall behind you, once even if Babylon is to create a space, kind of a liberty for mankind, you know, man are in them spaceship with them little picture of Rastafari, same way, still a praise the Most High, same way, you know. So as we say, that's what still means, you know. It still means that we're there, we're not going anywhere. The dance and the manifestation of the truth is a must. So our victory is already won, you know. So the world is looking for a physical thing, but our victory is knowing that goodness and truth and love and balance is the way, you know what I mean? Because we've not seen evil reciprocate anything that can be livable. Evil only reciprocates destruction and death. So we already see that good is what it is, and is the way how Jah set us to move, and the earth that Jah wants us to live on is a good and loving and balanced way, you know. So as we say, from we find that, and from anyone out there find that, you've already won, you know, from here, find that within yourself, you know what I mean? So that's what the Still album is here to do, to show representation that we are still here, Rastafari, we're still a chant. Within all our with battles and with personal issues and life and with this and that agendas, you know what I mean? Because as we say in the Angels in Zion tune, seek ye first the kingdom of the Most High and everything shall be added. So
right.
You were made by the Most High. So you seek Jah first, and then Jah will make your life go in the direction where you keep your balance, keep your head balanced.
Right.
That's what the Still is here for.
And I must say that one of my favorite tracks from the album is Still Soul. Like, what was it like working with the great Aston Barrett Jr. on the track?
Oh wow. Well, you know, I was watching his thing for a little while before I actually did the project with Zion Kings and seeing his development, and you know, it's a beautiful thing for no say. You know, a youth come from a certain background, and there, as I said, growing up in the 12 tribe didn't hide me from the distractions of the world, and the temptations of the world, and all the stuff that I could have gotten up to as a kid. You know, so him as a youth coming up now and seeing his father's glory and his father's works, and trying to be a part of it, and trying to, you know, bring it, put blocks on it, and build the building a little better and a little stronger, and this time, and keep it going. It was magnificent, you know what I mean? And obviously, he plays the drum as good as any drummer in the history of reggae music. You can't take away the fact that his talent is extraordinary as well.
Yeah.
So when I heard the track and how he play, and especially the roll at the first roll, that's reggae, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing. It's not that I par with like that, like with friends, and in terms of, in a physical sense, you know, but yeah, we have made acquaintance, and he's a great youth, you know what I mean? And I'm also friends with a lot of his family members, because we grew up together in the 12 tribe as well.
How was also the experience working with Lou One Drop on drums? So he played on the track Isn't Time and Spiritual. Yeah. So could you tell us about that experience as well, working with Carla Lou One Drop over here in the UK?
As I said, the Zion Kings, you know, so the Zion Kings stretch to the UK, to the United States, to Europe, to the Caribbean, you know what I mean? So energy. So all of the labels of the Zion Kings, they have connections with all these musicians and beautiful exponents of the music, you know what I mean? So I mean, getting that energy into it, it's always a beautiful thing, you know what I mean? And for me, it's really about the roots being played in such a way where it has the vibranics, you know. Vocal has a certain vibrato, has a certain sound that attracts the soul, you know, and then if the rhythm has the vibranics that can connect to that, then it's even a more beautiful thing. So you really don't want to be playing a reggae track with a hip hop drummer, you know what I mean, or a rock drummer, you know what I mean? So yeah, man, we give thanks when the ones them go out and learn off the craft. And especially reggae music, which is a spiritual tone, you know, because reggae music is a spiritual tone, which means it doesn't come to highlight your wealth or your commercial assets, your value of a person, you know, in your own eyes, you know. It comes with a spiritual tone, so we can enlighten ourselves, help to enlighten others, thus to see a better balanced world. Is a very, as I keep saying, it's a very simple thing, you know? So when drummers and guitarists and keyboardists and people can play the reggae music, that tone, you know, just all goes well for the world, for the people, listeners, because we need that space where we can find ourselves after going off into some abandoned world where we know we're going to get lost in energy. And we give thanks to the ones who are still pushing through.
How do you feel about the current state or the current situation in Ethiopia as a Rastaman?
Well, as a Bridget did tell me earlier, it hurts, Last night I read with a Bridget. I said, boy, I'm really hurt, so I'm out of Ethiopia. It's an elder too, I grew up and seen a man in church. Yeah, but as you say, revolution is one thing, war is one thing. You understand? So that's revolution and war is two different things. See? So Ethiopia right now is going through a natural progression of not a revolution, I would say, because it is basically, to me, it is a coordinate things happening. It's not just say, people are saying, boy, them underneath a certain thing and them want to change, I think Ethiopia is going through some coordinated type of thing, and especially I think the West might have their hands all over it as well. It might not look like that from the outside to a lot of people, but normally when you see I and I were born to be together and born to be loving and balanced, fight against each other, it normally come from some type of influence, whether it be some money or something, normally that's what they use to divide us. So for me, the Ethiopian people need to understand that Ethiopia, the rock of Ethiopia is not a patriotic thing in terms of just a regular country region where you live, like you go America or you go England, you understand? Ethiopia stands today as the single most powerful spiritual guiding light for I and I from them time, and crowned by the emergence of His Spirit Majesty and Christ, that's first, and also the re-emergence of the David monarchy in this time, in a modern time, hence the name Rastafari, So people have to understand, what Ethiopia stands for is the single most beautiful connection to the Most High, undiluted, untapped, which is the reason why it has never been conquered, because those things are spiritually to be kept, So while all of us can go out and we include all these corruptive elements into our culture, into our spirituality, into our lifestyle, and we tell ourselves that, it's just modern times and Rasta can't do this and Rasta can't do that, Rasta is Rasta. Rasta come to be Rasta. Rasta not come to be modern Rasta, no old time Rasta. Rasta is just Rasta. You understand? So in this time, Ethiopia can never be America, can never be India, been polluted. All these places have been corrupted by the elements of man. Because this man are doing things, enough of the corruption and everything, so a man we are doing, letting in some kind of energy that is not. It is not conducive to love. It is not conducive to living. What is conducive to is having an individual goal and having aspirations of having commercial success and things and cars and houses, and that is what it's good for that. But for the world to have a world, for your son and your daughter to have a future, it's not good for that. So Ethiopia is a representation of that good that we have in this time. As a land, a landmass, regardless of the people or whatever, as a land. Ethiopia should know this. And I think in reaching out now for what Babylon term as development, like in Turkey, as a man ever say, your house feel good, you have white tile on your floor and your wall them don't have any cracks. You have a nice house, So in reaching out for the nice house now, I think a lot of us, not only in Ethiopia, but all across the world, we are losing our moral structure, our spirituality, because we're reaching out now for all these nice things that the system shows us and tells us that this is what makes you a man, this is what makes you a woman, this is what will make you comfortable, you know what I mean? And that is what is degrading the morality, that's what's degrading certain things. So we're not going to stop see war, we're not going to stop see fight, and everything, because we're in the last days still, None of what you see is really any kind of if people following prophecy and following the truth and the word and the most that you'll see that these things are even what is happening in terms of the viruses in the world and blah blah blah. These things are not some strange thing. You know? These things are all prophesied, all there for us to live through, so that we can either be the ones to remove evil from our mind and not be a part of the corruptive element of mankind.
What do you think about the ideology of repatriation? Do you think repatriation is a must? Do you believe in that?
Repatriation is not an ideology, you know what I mean? Africa with its creators, you know. And Africa's creators is not saying that creators are not within Africa.
Yeah.
Because that's what people get as a misconception, you know what I mean? It's creators as a word that Dennis Brown, Bob Marley, all of these great men sing and talk over the years. Does not mean that externally Africa will be created. You know what I mean? It does not mean that all the creators of Africa are coming from Jamaica, or they're coming from the US, or they're coming from some other place. You know what I mean? What it means is that the spirit that it will take to have a united Africa, and to Africa that is self-sustaining itself and not being raped by the European powers or the Americas or whatever. You know, I think it takes a connection of the minds within Africa that have that still connection to the spirit very deep. Because I think Africa is still the only place in the world, you know, other than maybe Jamaica to a lesser extent, that has a very strong spiritual connection to nature and to the Most High God. You understand? So, for me, therein lies the whole thing, you know. So if we can connect from here, we sight up a lot of things, because if you notice, even apartheid, Bob Marley, reggae music had a great role to play in apartheid in South Africa, also in Zimbabwe, in the struggle for the people, you know. So the people can recognize and connect to this music because it speaks of a soul connection to the earth. It speaks of, like you just said, boy, you know, why would you want to have a nice, beautiful day, right? But what you are doing to have your nice, beautiful day is creating a horrible day for me. You know what I mean? That is what reggae music is about. That is what the message is about. That's what Bob Marley was about. So that is what the whole connection from the Western Hemisphere, which we are living in, to Ethiopia, so we can have those creators creating Ethiopia, and creating Africa, and making sure that Africa can stand as a power in the future, in this time, and not, as we said, be raped, just being raped over and over again by so-called great powers, you know. So we need the minds of us that live in the West, that have learned the ways of the West, learn the misguidedness of the West, so we can keep it away from ourselves. We need to have that connection now with the youth them in Africa, with the ones in Africa. We have the heart for Africa. We have the heart to say Africa build. We have the love for them country. We say Africa is just as great as anywhere else in the world. You know what I mean? Yeah. When I was younger, I used to play with Buju and in crew back in the day. You know, like when a Buju road manager, you know, we sit down one day on a reason, and Buju just would come from Gambia, I think. And he was talking about the whole Gambian experience and thing, you know. And the man said to me about that while they were in Gambia, a little girl that used to work around the hostels or the hotel that they were, you know, she was reading with them one day, and she was like, she wished her foreparents were sold into slavery like us, so she could have the things that we have in the West. You know what I mean? This nice little crap stuff that they put in stores for us to get carried away with, you know. So in her mind, she thinks it's better for us in the West. That's the misconception that we want to get rid of, you know what I mean? That's the kind of tip. So as I said, the people in Africa that have that soul, that know that this is the most powerful place on the earth, you know. Africa is the continent that is feeding the world. People who know that, we have to connect with them, and so Africa will be created in the right way. You know, for me, a lot of the questions that people have on their minds has to do with a fleeting existence, to be honest. You know, like light at the end of the tunnel, those kind of words, those kind of things. It's like, you know, we use these things to patronize ourselves, to be honest. That's how I look at it, because we know what the truth is. We know that evil begets evil, and good begets a balanced liberty, you know what I mean? So as long as the world, if COVID-19 wasn't a part of the world would still be washed in evil. So what we have to understand, say, until each and every one of us starts looking at ourselves as an individual to remove the evil from my mind so that I can dwell in a space where there is no evil and there's no evil being practiced or being thought or being, you understand? So one by one we do that, or in a collective or whatever, that is the whole meat of the whole thing. That's what Jah wants. That's what the Most High that created all this wants us to do. Take your life, you take your grandmother's life, right? If you live a life that is good, you live a life that is good. If you live a life that is good and your life, and then your flesh is gone, people will glorify that life. People will glorify who you are, and that will carry on and be an example to generations. And also your soul, which can never die, will have a good place with the Most High, and therefore maybe end up in another flesh in the future. You never know.
Reincarnation.
Exactly. Yeah. But Babylon is removing all these things from us so that we just fear death. We fear death so much that we don't even know how to live anymore. You know what I mean? So it's trying to put the fear of everything in us, and really we stop living and we stop realizing that if we don't lay the groundwork for good things to happen, it doesn't make sense for us to be saying that we want all this life and all this and all this that. We're setting up ourselves for pain, and more and more pain, and heavier pain too. Because when you do a deed today to make $1 million that you know is going to hurt a bag of people and hurt, even the person that is sitting beside you, later down the road, there's no way you can't avoid it. You can't avoid that excruciating spiritual emptiness and pain that it will bring. You know what I mean? Pain of dying. It's not even close to the pain that you feel when you destroy your soul from the things that you do. It's not even close to that, because there's an emptiness that can never be filled. And no matter how much money you have, you cannot fill it. You know what I mean? So these are things that people need to be focused on. You know what I mean? I'm not really. I'm hit and I'm hurt by the whole virus thing and the pandemic. This blah blah blah. So you can't get to tour. You can't get to. But that don't stop my charge. You know what I mean? That don't stop my liberty of trying to be a good person every day. You know what I mean? And doing good deeds and trying to help ones, and that don't really stop that. That's why I write the songs that I write. If I was thinking about that really, I would write 2 jump up songs or 2 songs to some girl go skin out, or some bad man go bust them gun, and some of them make more money, and therefore I'll be safer in COVID. You know what I mean? I'm not interested in that, brother, because I say my life is onto the goodness that I portray and I express. And then when I do that, it connects to the Most High, so I get my protection from the Most High. There, so.
Yes.
So I don't need to worry about none of these things. You understand? And that if the people start finding themselves on a true level, they will see that a lot of things that is being pushed in them face is really insignificant. Even if it's a lie or the truth, compared to what you need to be doing as a person with your connection with the Most High, with your spirit, so that you can have a true life. It's insignificant.
Memories do you recall with the late Drew Keys? Like, what kind of memories do you recall with him?
Well, I never knew Drew Keys personally. You know what I mean? I just knew him through, like we know a lot of the bridging them through work. And King's bridging them. I don't think I've works through. You understand? But the works that he did and the person that he was, and the energy that he put out, the light that he put out. It was so powerful that it's like him still there, you know what I mean? It's like him still there. The way people talk about him, the way people have expressed, about his works, and you understand? So, as I said before, these are the things that we need to consciously connect ourselves to. This is the reason why. So Drew Keys is not here anymore, but the magnificence of Drew Keys will carry on. And Drew Keys' earthly touch will touch others, and touch others in a good way, and thus create that space for him right beside the Most High, in the Most High bosom, where the Most High will look out for him and say, you were good to your brothers and sisters, I cannot be nothing but good to you. That's a very simple thing. So as I said, maybe down the line, we'll see another Drew Keys come up somewhere, in a different flesh, and mostly we're not gonna really know, but the spirit, where you have and when me have, if we're connected to the Most High, we will know. Just like from them time there, Christ come on earth, and Christ come on earth 1, 2, 3 times, It's just that books and things have shown us that. So we know because of books the times that we think that Christ come on earth. that the Most High walk in our flesh. You understand? So just like how a man walk in our flesh and him do the deed, is just the deed that is good that it encompasses everything. You understand? With the Christ from way much years ago, much thousands of years ago, and still finding Rastafari in this time, is because of the connective spirit. It's because of the spirit that is still connected to that divine thing from way back, from the beginning of time. It's still connected. So if that spirit should come in you, I can't miss it. Any spirit that have that connection, when that spirit comes, you can't miss it. He's, as a youth in my own right, did that. If a man come now and start move, talk, play a certain way, what you gonna say? I say, Jano, that youth remind me of Drew Keys, you know. Jano, you know, cold bump over washer. You know, say, yo, that youth remind me of Drew Keys. That is the power of the Most High. That's the power of connectivity, of blood memory, of the metaphysical connection and carry on of energies and time, which is beyond the comprehension of mankind. So don't make mankind tell them that they know all, yeah? They don't know nothing. We have created. We're created. So beyond that, we know nothing. So we know, you know that you can paint your house white. I know that I can paint my room blue. Yeah. The man will make mechanisms to create cars and planes. Him know him take that off of nature still, but him know that off him hands, he can make that. That's all we know. We know nothing beyond that. Music making is not a problem. For me to go out and write songs and play a guitar and all these things is a skill that you learn. But to project the spirit through music making is very, very difficult. And to me, it is the highest level. So now, when a man can do that, I really, definitely. So for me, the 12 Tribe album, the 9 Voice album would have been the greatest album, because of the thought process which was put into making that album, I would say Bob Marley's Exodus album. Also, Bob Marley's third on the list for me would have been Bob Marley's next album, Kaya. Fourth on the list would be, it's not even a reggae album, you know what I mean? Albums of all time, which I was listening to. It's an album from Biggie Smalls. That album is called, I think, is Life After Death. As I say, as a Rasta youth, I wasn't just shown the way of my little Rasta circle, which Rasta circle is very small compared to the mainstream world. It's really brought up and it's like an eclectic feel of life, so we get to experience, So Biggie Smalls, which was partly a Jamaican youth as well, him was a youth now where they have a very high consciousness, even though it came out of the streets of America and the drugs and the this and the that and the blah blah blah. It was a very high consciousness which drew me in, his words, the way he put words together, the things that he was saying, it wasn't normal, you know what I mean? So definitely I would have said that. And the number five album that for me, that I would have said of all time, that I love personally, would have been the album that I worked on, which is called Shalala. That project, like the 9 Voice album of Back in the Past, which we really were trying to focus on just giving a listening ear to all the exponents of music that were around us in our circle, in our immediate family. We're bridging them where we know have talent, but the world not really open for just hear that, because we're not going to beg no disc jockey for play with song. We're not paying no disc jockey for play with song. We're not kiss no ass. We're not switch up and become something else to become no great artist, So when I was creating that cool energy in that album, it was really about to give all of my brethren and sisters my listening ear a voice. I had already gotten a kind of a foot in the door, Not really, and even now the door has never been open for Iman. But I got a foot in the door because I pride myself in quality music. So it's my message, yes. But I really worked hard when I was a youth to make sure that whatever I was expressing was of a high quality, whether it be the guitar playing or the vocal expression or whatever, So because of that, I think I was given a space in the world of music, Not necessarily because of what I'm saying, because what I'm saying is definitely not what the mainstream wants to hear, So when I saw that I got a foot in the door, I tried to just you know, make sure say some of my brethren them foot probably can go through the door, but through my foot there through the door, them can put them foot on my foot. So all of the foot there at the door still, but at least them foot pile up on one foot and there at the door. You know? So that was the whole idea of the Shadowlock album, which was a very good album to me for what we had at the time as a studio, for what we had as experience and equipment wise and all these things, and even distribution, marketing, all these things. We never really had that real nice, you know what I mean? So it was a great effort on all of the EDB and the Regeneration Music family. To me, that was a special album, you know, still today, a special album. So Shadowlock Rebirth, for those who have never heard of the album or seen it, or you can go and check it out, you know, it's called Shadowlock Rockers Rebirth by EDB and Regeneration Music, you know what I mean? Try to remove the evil from your mind, Flora.
Yeah.
There's no other message in this time, because in this time it's filthy and unfilthy living in this earth. And if you're not strong enough and you're unfilthy and you're clean and you know hold a certain strength or listen to a certain spirit that is talking to you, then you will more than likely end up in a very filthy situation.
Yes.
So as I say, it's filthy and unfilthy in the earth now. Try to remove the evil from your mind. Try to think as positively every day. No matter there's no situation in this earth from them time that you know that is alien to any individual. Situation that should make you be evil or make you do bad things or make that's bullshit. So don't make that make you go do the wrong thing. You know what I mean? That have had the experience and not done the wrong thing, not go the wrong way. As I say, just remove the evil from your mind, you know. And just do that. You know, no matter where you see Babylon do, no matter where your governments do, no matter where your mother and your father do, no matter where your grandparents do, your picnic them, no matter where nobody do. Try to remove the evil from your mind.
Much for tuning in. Have a very blessed day. Peace and Rastafari. Yes, King.
Big up yourself.
Yo, big ups, King.
Love to all of the family, you know, Africa,
yes.
UK, you know, United States, Europe, everybody, you know, because
yes.
we say we don't segregate. It's love to all people.
No. Living in Babylon. No. Get up, stand up with your head up. I feel hold your hand up. When you see bad things are going, shut up. If you come for mash up, the devil give you work so you set up. No make him trick you with charm. Hey, you don't know your future plans. We live in a Babylon, and I have to feed that spiritual man. Oh yo, remember we all come from the same source, walk on the same roads. That's just the way it goes. You wet up, away you did a run from better. Them boy the devil send for catch up. Me tell it if you watch who your part with. Next thing to find a conscious starter fi link you through the good and the bad, so the ring do. And then Jah bless you with the marriage. You don't know your future plans, but me live in a Babylon, and I have to feed that spiritual man. Come on now, hey, we all come from the same source, walk on the same